Okay, it's just loading now. I'll tell you once it's live. Uh, yeah, slowly loading.
That's all right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, it says it's on now. Okay. Yeah, it's live now.
All right.
Yeah. So today we're back with Master Saddle Fitter Jochen Schlesa from Schlesa Saddlery. And today we're going to talk about girth placement and then also the Saddle Fit for Life program, which I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen on Facebook because there's tons of informational articles that I've seen being shared around with that. So, anyways, I'll let you introduce the girth placement or the Saddle Fit program or whatever you want to do first. And yeah.
Okay, so good seeing you again.
Yeah.
And I think, as usual, I'd like to start off by maybe show some pictures. Let me see if I can share the screen here. Yep, looks great.
Yeah, people have really been liking the slideshow stuff
Oh,
that
do they
they,
really?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
sometimes you don't hear any feedback,
Hmm.
right? But I think when you hear the saying, there must be something true. You know what they say, pictures say more than 1,000 words.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, so I was so bummed. I couldn't get that race saddle back
Oh
from
no.
Woodbine Racetrack. I wanted to show it to you so bad,
Oh, it's
but
at Woodbine right now. Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
this is like the we're not official launched it yet. I mean, the website is out to get curiosity, but there are some trainers who want to see it,
Oh
and
yeah,
says, I
they're
gotta show
probably
it.
excited because yeah, it's like pretty groundbreaking because they don't change a whole lot in racing too
I know.
often, like
Yeah,
tack wise at least. But yeah.
yeah. Sometimes people say, no, what is new in innovation? Innovation is so a lot right now in the saddle industry. I mean, this saddle here, this is a typical um,
Oh yeah, jockey saddle.
mini jockey saddle. I
Oh
mean,
my God, it looks like a toy horse saddle. It's
I
funny.
know it's like super small, and yeah, so that's what you have on the race day. But the exercise saddle yourself, it looks a little bit different, and
Hmm.
that's maybe we can do it that next time a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be awesome to see. There's a fair few people that follow me that are either in racing or they're interested in getting into it, so I think that they'd love that too. And yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to start off with this a picture quick, just as a reminder when we talk about girth. The back picture here, of you're looking bird's view from the back. Every horse has a flank, and that flank, when the light hits, is a sunlight or fluorescent light. It always comes in what the old cavalry or the cowboy used to call the ring of lights, because you can see there's a ring here.
Mhm.
And the reason why the light throws that ring is because the hair comes up to the flank, straight up, and then
Mhm.
it goes to the back and to the front, and it meets the coat, well, exactly where the ring of light is.
Cool.
So, and they use that forever to stay away from the pressure points, So the saddle has a end area, so never in the ring of lights, or when you look from the side, you see it shiny here and darker
Mhm.
where the two arrows are. Never in the dark zone or never in the ring of lights. And in the front, the old days, they said wherever the mane ends, go straight down. The saddle can never be passed where the mane ends. Now, when you have a jumping saddle or jockey saddle and the flap goes forward, it doesn't matter because the metal plate and the tree would always be straight no matter what saddle you have. So the leather is not the issue, it's the tree, and the tree makes these marks. So when we talk about girth placement, okay, so number one, there's these 9 different features how to fit uh, a saddle for a male or for women. Completely the opposite. We talked about that too.
Yeah, that's yeah, in the last one too. People can
Mhm.
look at.
So that is kind of what we look on top. And then on the side, where my cursor is right there, the billets can come out or the center, back, or the front. So the billets, where they hang down, they need to hang down at a certain area, and we call that, oops, wrong picture. This it's a cool picture too, because
Yeah.
many people say, what's that? Is this horse giving birth to the human? No, 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 no. This is just for many people who don't be around horses like you nonstop, you know, and the baby boomers, we like to call them, who
Yeah.
start in their late 30s or 40s to ride. You know, not everybody knows where the elbow of the horse is,
Mm-hmm.
and then in relation to us. So that's why we put this person there, just as a little looky. So here you can see a line, which is a dotted line. So that dotted line is the end of the sternum. You never want to have the girth behind the horse's split sternum. So what I did for today, I brought my invisible horse. So let me just get that quick.
Cool.
I got that so many years ago. This is kind of brittle. I'm just gonna stop the slideshow for a second. So you can put all this together, all these different organs and skeleton. But when you look from the side where my fingers are, we learned from pony club, one elbow, one hand width behind the elbow. But when I talk about split sternum, the horse's sternum has a sternum plate where my finger points to it. And the horse, all this is called sternum 2 back there, because the ribs connect to that sternum, but you can see it's split like my fingers. Okay? So if you put the girth too far back, like in the Icelandic world, that is very often a big problem, or like some dressage riders. If you put it too far back, then you impede the breathing of the horse. You can see the big red stuff is the lungs, right? So you don't want to squish it. So the placement of the girth must be on top of the sternum. So I thought that was a good visual for people to see. So if I put that
that's super cool.
one over there, and then I go back to my slide. So that end of the sternum in the old days, wherever the withers ended, and it is in the flat area, in the old days, they said, hey, you know what? Wherever the sternum ends, the withers end, that's the balancing line of the horse, of the balance line, they call it. Right? So if I would be a Superman and I can lift the horse with one arm, I would place it here, and it's the same weight in front than in the back. And that's where all rodeo riders sits and bullfighters. That's where the least amount of action the horse's back is. So when you have a girth, it got to fall in front of that line. Okay, so that's what we call the sternum plate, not in the split sternum. So far, so good?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay, so sometimes when I have a horse, let me just show you this picture here. This is a picture I picked up from a video. I hope I have it on this slideshow. That's a problem when you have so many slideshows. You don't know anymore where anything is. But let's see if I find that. I find that helps sometimes for people to understand why this is becoming such a difficulty to find the right girth or the right opinion, for lack of sense.
Yeah. It's interesting because when I grew up riding, they never ever really like I was also young, but they never mentioned anything about like where to put the girth, just where to put the saddle. Yeah.
So sometimes, let me just see if I can make these windows a little bit bigger. It's easier for me to find. Sometimes, no, I don't seem to find it on this slideshow. But if I come across, the second I'm going to leave this and don't look anymore, then I will find it. It's always
yeah. Can never find the things when you need them the most. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did find it. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
So this lady here has on YouTube English and German books. Unbelievable. On Saturday, we have from Saddlefit for Life our very first global wisdom exchange. It goes all day from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And this is one of the hosts, and we have equine experts. She speaks very good English. She lived in England and South America. And she wrote a book, unfortunately only in German, and it says Vom Fluchttier zum Designerpferd. It means from the flight animal to the designer horse. So what we face now as saddle makers or you as trainers, we have complete different horses. While horses used to be bred like this, rectangle, big wide chest, shorter legs, shorter neck, but look how long that saddle, the back is.
Yeah.
So that's where what I was just saying with the girth, the old rule, they call it the soldier or the, I got to be careful what I said. I think it's called First Nation now. We were told it's called the Indian rule.
Oh, yeah.
But, wherever the end of the mane is where the saddle starts. Wherever the end of the withers is the end of the sternum. And that front of the sternum is where the girth has to be placed. But now we build horses upright, rectangle, way more athletic, super sensitive, super long legs, very narrow chest, and very short back. So the relation where the girth is and the withers is completely out. Yeah. So when I talk to, let's say, people who are all their life in their riding, okay? And they says, why you saddle maker can't make proper saddles? Well, number one, the back is now so short that if you look at if you put the saddle behind the mane, clearly you're in the dark area and you look at the bones. This is maybe where the invisible horse comes in. Very good.
Oh, wow.
So you can see that we have a huge problem with these bones here. These are the lumbar versus processes, right? Oh. So where my fingers are, super possible, right? So if the girth placement is wrong and you put the saddle on the wrong spot, you all of a sudden say, oh, I got the wrong girth, or I don't know where to place it, or I might have to buy a more expensive one. Most of the time, so more expensive the girth is, so worse the girth is. So sometimes the cheapest girth are still the best, but I go back to this later. So we definitely can't be in the back and not in the front. But because of the horses, they have such a long shoulder now.
Yeah.
Long leg, steep upright shoulder, and super long shoulder blade. So that end of the scapular, okay, so what used to be in line, okay, what used to be end of the shoulder blade, what used to be in line with the elbow, it's now so far back.
Yeah.
So then you have a saddle, he says, okay, I got to get that saddle off the shoulder. The main end's further forward, but that shoulder is another 2 inches further back. So then we have a problem because all of a sudden, when I girth the saddle up, so I measure the horse, I do all my measurements as a saddle fitter. But when I girth the saddle up, okay, and I want the saddle behind the shoulder, these straps sometimes, they're sitting too far back. And exactly where I just showed you, which is on the split sternum, right?
Yeah, so and then does the saddle move back too far as well then onto like those, and then are those areas the ones where most horses would get kissing spine then, like the flat vertebrae or the ones?
Oh my God, you're absolutely right. You hit that nail on the head. You know, here's another picture of that sternum plate what I was telling you.
Oh, that's cool.
Right, and here you see the split sternum. So if the saddle slides back, and the reason why it slides back is because if you look at the way the ribs go, the girth will always go to the smallest area. This is all guts, right? And all mushy stuff. So it either goes to the smallest spot forward, or when you go too far back with the girth, it pulls your saddle back. And you know, as an eventer, jockey or jumper, that's horrible.
I've had it happen on a racehorse. The whole saddle pad goes off.
No!
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely was too far back.
How insecure did you feel there?
Awful. I wanted to get off, but then I knew the horse, if I walked him back in hand, that he would be even worse. So I had to get the outrider to come catch me and bring me back. It was scary.
I so feel your pain. It's not even funny.
Yeah. You can feel it start to happen when it slides, and then as soon as it goes past that point that you're talking about, it's game over and you're screwed.
And you just to say, oh my God, I hope I
Yeah.
get back.
Yeah, just I hope it stops, or I hope I get the horse pulled up before it becomes a bucking strap, and then
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. So I want to talk to you quick about um, not all the horses are super even. I don't know. I think we talked a little bit about Faria's writing book about
Yeah.
that sometimes the upper arm is grown different than the right versus the left, or these muscles where this trunk, the rib cage hangs off. Horses don't have collarbones and even developed. So one side is more hollow, lower than the other side.
And then
So
that's not fixable then if they're born that way. They have to stay that way. You can't
um,
like
see, this is the problem. You cannot put a metal plate between their chest. That's the only way you can X-ray it. Okay, you got to
okay.
put a metal plate, like a lead plate, between
Yeah.
the bone and the camera. Or you do MRI, but the MRIs for horses are not big enough. You get the head, the neck in, the legs, but you
Mhm.
don't get the whole horse in it.
Yeah.
So
We
you,
we
you have
yeah.
to wait until he's dead, and then you look
Oh,
at the bones. So we always assume it's
expensive.
only in the structure, in the muscles,
Yeah.
so that you can fix. But a lot of horses are born like this.
That's
So
crazy.
let's say your sister or your girlfriend or friend, whatever, had to wear, since they're little, very pointy shoes. And they now have, let's say she is 21 years, very deformed toes and a huge bunion on the foot. Okay. No matter how much gymnastics she does, she will not reform her foot, right? Because her bone structure is born or deformed like that. So if a horse is like that, it's important to understand the girthing system. So let me explain what that means. So the higher side will push the mane, look at my mouse,
Mhm.
to the lower side. So if you look at the horse from the back, this is the higher side. And 7 out
Oh.
of 10 horses' mane goes to the right. So if the right shoulder is higher, right, you can see the distance from here to the withers, then of course the mane goes to the left.
That's
If the
crazy.
it's just gravity, right? So the mane,
Yeah.
the skin gets pushed over there, so the mane follows.
So then, like, because everyone says you're supposed to have the mane on the right side, and I get, like, if any of my horses have a split mane or, like, on the left side, people always point it out. But do you think that's mostly because of how much people work their horses to the left then, and then it's become, like, a rule because of that? Or was there actually, like, a reason for it to be on the right side before?
So when I talk to trainers, I get a different answer than from a vet or from an osteopath or from a farrier or from a person who's born, who has lived with horses in the wild for two,
Mm-hmm.
3 years, right? So everybody has their theory. But what makes the most sense to me as a rider and dealing with all these experts is your appendix and my appendix and the horse appendix is on the right. And when the gassy, blowy sides where all the intestines are, okay, on the right side, all right, the appendix on the right. So when they digest, they bend their rib cage this way. So you got to think about it before we sit on the horse. The horse is constantly bending the rib cage to the right and contracting the muscles between the ribs. That's the intercostal muscles. So they're contracting this side more, and this is constantly stretched. Now, vaulting, gymnastic on horses, they only gallop to the left
Yeah.
because that horse, that's their comfort side. And they keep the top as aligned as they know since they're baby. Most racetracks, they don't go where their crush is here, they go to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have an owie tummy or when you digest food, you don't want a super tight belt
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want anybody messing around your girth, your digestive side.
Yeah.
For horses, when you handle horses just after they eat, they don't like you on the right side because they're digesting the food. So it's way easier for you to handle the horse on the left for two reasons. Number one, the horse likes you better on the left than the right side. The person who grew up or who lived with horses in the wild says, watch those wild horses fight. They always guard the gassy, blowy side. They don't want to be kicked in the stomach. They don't want to be hit. They guard that side. They fight with the left side. and the horse likes you on the left. So now most people are right-handed. So now when you walk away a horse or you lead a horse, you have your dominant hand leading a huge animal. So you're more comfortable. If you really want to feel weird as a right-handed person, lead a horse on the left hand, the right side with your left hand, and the horse tries to move away from you, right? So we became so used to this, and the easy answer to pony clappers was because the soldier kept the sword on the right side.
Yeah, that's what I heard, yeah.
Right? We all heard that, right?
Yeah.
So the osteopath says because the organ placement, no human has even organs, and the veterinarian says, you know, we can't x-ray the horse. There could be even in the upper arm, and the unevenness could be in the muscle, or they're grown like this. And I tell you what, if you graze 17 hours, wild horse does that, out of 24 hours, they're always looking for food, their head is always down. Guess what? Their strong side is their right side. Okay, they support the side where the rib cage and the digestive system and the appendix is. So that's their standing leg. And the stretch leg is the left leg where they go then down with the neck and the head to graze. So there's more pressure on the left heel and more pressure on the right toe. You see many horses with the right heel higher and the left heel lower, longer toe on the left. So the majority of the horses, doesn't matter on what continent I have been, you see that. It's a common pattern. So as a trainer, I know I need to ride my horse straight. Number 5 in the training scholar, make your horse straight. So when I look at the horse from the front, shoulder, upper arm, lower legs, there's no connection to the rib cage. The muscle up top, this is the serratus, and the muscle is, which I did not draw in here, the chest muscle, the pecs, the pectoralis muscle, hold the rib cage. So if I train the horse straight, it's great. But now comes the saddle and the girth. Every horse what has a bigger left shoulder, same with humans, if my shoulders go wider, they go back. So think about this. The shoulder, what is bigger, is further back than the right side. A very cool test is sit on the horse's back, a little bit further back from the withers. Then you lean forward and you palpate with your fingers and you find this edge here. And then when you sit on the horse, somebody holds the horse, of course, because you have now 2 hands free. And make sure that the horse is standing somewhat square, okay? And you place your hands behind the shoulder. 7 out of 10, you're going to say, this is unbelievable. The right side is so much more forward, okay? So now, when I read the first history book on saddle fitting with girth placing, every jumping saddle, let me find one, has 3 billets. Okay, so when I have a saddle, what has 3 billets, it's not because, hey, you know, when one billet is ripping, you have 2 extra ones. Well, that's not really the case. Some saddle only have 1 billet. Like these saddles.
Yeah, and a lot of the exercise saddles only have 2, I've noticed. Like very few of them actually have 3.
Yeah. So if you have dressage saddle have 2, Western saddle have 1. So if the shoulder is uneven, okay, so if I'm looking at the horse from the back and you sit here and you feel that, your saddle, plastic, wood, no matter what, always has a bracket to not crush the bones. The saddle will do, or the gullet plate will do what your hands do. They look for that edge and then they shift, they twist. So your billets, your girth placing is really, really important because you can stop making your horse even more crooked. And what you can do, wherever the mane is, use the first 2 billets because your girth and your saddle will be more forward on that side. On the other side, where the mane is not, use the back 2 billets. Okay, and then you say, well, but then the girth is uneven. It's more forward on the right. Yeah, but so is your horse's girth area. And you know what that will do? It will stop the saddle from banging into the horse's 16th, 17th, 18th vertebrae right through here. Okay,
Cool.
so when the saddle should sit like this one here, away from the spine, and you have a really cool saddle where you have a minimum of 4, if not 5 fingers spinal clearance. Okay, if you stay off the spine, you will never have spinal. So this is, let me go different page. So here's the spine. This is the vertebrae in the back where you stay away. And when there's touch, you know, that's kissing spine. That's super painful for the horse until it glues together. Then it's not painful. You have a horse that doesn't bend, but it doesn't hurt. But what hurts when they touch down here where my mouse is, there are holes. So here's a close-up where the nerve comes out, the spinal nerves. This is a normal size, and this is a small size.
Oh no.
Small size, big size. So now you have a horse that can win put you on the Canadian team, what could win the Kentucky Derby, but all of a sudden has this funky spasms. And you say, oh, he's a wobbler. Oh, could he have EPM? Oh, you know, he's freaking out. He's a pinched nerve. Every human, okay, who has a nerve impingement, which is a funny bone, that's a nerve, you know how annoying that is. Now imagine you have that feel in your spine and it shoots to your heart. And all of a sudden you just drop dead, or your liver or your intestines. So when I listen to vets, and it says, if you want to stop all the spinal problems, okay, with kissing spine, just get that stinking girth in the right placement. Let me repeat. The sternum plate, not where it splits, in front where it splits. Number 2, look at the horse's scapular. 7 out of 10 horses, mane goes to the right. When the shoulder is bigger on the right side, the mane will go left. If you're a lucky person and the shoulders are absolutely even and the mane splits all the way even, that would be a human who can read and write with the right hand and left hand just as good, ambidextrous. Okay, very few horses are like that. And again, like humans, we are left hand or right-handed, left brain, right brain, right? So these are things we all know, but when it comes to horseback riding and we talk about saddle fitting, if the saddle keeps going to this is the spine from the top, keeps shifting to the left, the horse will deviate. Many horses have issue in the sacroiliac joint, right? You have $1 million horses, and this is why I cannot stress enough. You don't need to be a saddle fitter. You don't need to be a millionaire. All you need to know is what you do, Shelby, is learn, share with your friends. The girth placement is so important. Length is the next one I want to talk about. Okay, so this is a very strong, the abdominal muscles pull on the pelvis, and then the haunch leg goes underneath. This is the longest and thickest muscle. That's our locomotive muscle. That's what makes the horse go forward and is also very strong. That's the deep tissue, deep muscle. So if I look at the next layer of muscles, or I should say the first layer of muscles, I'm going to look at I'm going to show you again, okay, what I'm going to deviate quick from what I was talking about. I showed you this before, but here you see the mane goes to the left, okay, and the bigger right shoulder comes further back than the left shoulder comes. Okay, so this saddle will go to the left unless you help the saddle to stay in position. In this case, on this horse, I would use the 2 billets on the left and the back 2 billets on the right. If you have a dressage saddle, okay, a dressage saddle has clips here, and you can cross the billets or hang them straight down, have them come down in the back, or can come down in the front. Okay, so many saddles, and the company Wintec was the first company that says, oh my God, I got to make a saddle so the rider can do the girth placement properly in case the horse has a bigger left shoulder, in order to avoid rib subluxation. Look at this rib here and there. Oh, you know, I got this nice horse, but I can't get my leg on. My right leg in particular. Oh, he has ulcer. Oh, he has this. Oh, he has that. Meanwhile, you spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars in either chiropractic adjustment, massage, or ulcer guard, or God knows what. But your saddle is just shifting, and you can help it with this, with the saddle. With the girth. Remember what I said, 7 out of 10 horses bigger to the left. It will always stress the horse in the lumbar area. I cannot make that clear enough. And the simple factor why I'm really talking so long on that subject is because it's the easiest part every rider can do. What causes the biggest problem. So here's the superficial muscle on this horse. These are these 14 reflex points, what makes every horse get really angry. You have to ride for 20 minutes to make these points numb. Girth length, you can never hit this one. That would be a long girth on a short billet saddle. I beg all of you guys, never put a billet extender on a saddle, because that billet extender puts the buckle here, the billets become longer, and then the buckle of the long girth will sit right on that latissimus. Now, this muscle is attached to the lower back and to the upper leg. So every time the horse canters and stretch the leg forward, let me get another little model horse. Okay, so this is, I like this horse a lot because it has all the Chinese meridian points, the lung meridian points, and it has, I use this a lot. And here we have the different layer of the muscles and the organs, and you can see how thick that area is on that area. So once we understand there are certain muscles would lay on top of each other's muscle, like in the pictures I just showed you. Let me go back to that. All right, so see how they cross? That's why all the army saddles and all the packing saddles, if you have mules or donkeys or horses who have packing saddles, they cross the billets. And that actually stabilizes the saddle. Let me show you again what crossing billets mean. So this here, when I pull on it, is obviously, let me just take that off. So when I pull on that, okay, so that is obviously the back billet. So when I put the back billet to the front, so I cross it and take the first billet and go back, now I'm crossing the billets. But what I did is I put the billets way more forward. This back webbing goes this way, and this front webbing goes this way. So it crosses, and it crosses exactly where nature crosses the horse's muscle. Cool. So that's why they've always done that, right? So we don't want to impede. And you can see here how it crosses. Now, picture this, okay? Let's say you have a strap, and you take a strap, let's say a spur strap, and you take your spur strap, what is out of nylon, and you put it around your bicep and make it nice and tight. I guarantee you, you cannot make a fist, okay? Because the muscle can't contract. So if you're a tennis player, why would you put a strap on your bicep? Because you can't play tennis. You can't even scratch your head. You're blocking this joint. That's your elbow joint. If you put the strap behind the muscle, you make it so tight that your blood stops. You can still move your muscle because you don't restrict the muscle what makes the joint move. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Now check these three out. 1, 2, 3. Latin word, tricep. That means they connect this bone, the upper bone, and the shoulder blade. 1, 2, 3. And they make this joint gallop faster, gallop bigger, jump higher. But if you put a strap, a billet over, many dressage saddles have a huge problem, okay? Or the tree or the panel design. They block that and they wonder why the horse trots out of the elbow. They can't lift the shoulder, okay? So by placing, and here you can see it, I want you this time look a little bit, see this here?
Mm-hmm.
See how much that contracts?
Yeah.
Why would you put the strap there? Makes no sense, right? So that's why in the olden days, they said, okay, my horse is, hang on. My horse is, no, it doesn't want to go bigger. Always something. But I think you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
He is with a muscle cross. Why don't we cross the billets there? And before you know, wow, now the billets hang in front of line 3 on the sternum plate. The saddle stays in a dressage saddle back. And if it's a jumping saddle where I have to jump, you know, and both shoulder blades come back, then I have a different setup, right? Then I use the billets to keep the saddle from stopping going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Dressage riders can't stand, same like with gaited riders who have gaited horses or Icelandic or the big leg, they cannot stand if the horse cannot lift the shoulder. It would block, the tree would jam into it. So for me, to end up and say, if I don't want to have a saddle tree where it digs into the point, your girth can help you a lot by have it in the right length. Okay, and let me just repeat what I just said. Length means
Length.
right between there.
Yeah.
Or the best way is wherever the horse's rib cage is the widest, 2 inch below that. And that's where you see little horses like Western horses, 14.3, 15.1. Guess what? They have a 32-inch girth. And a dressage horse, what is 17.2, has a 24-inch girth. How ridiculous. And they put that buckle right there on the pectoralis muscle. Remember that name, pectoralis muscle?
Mm-hmm.
That would lift the rib cage up. So if you want a horse to have free shoulder movements and the shoulder to come through, the girth needs to be in an area right where my mouse is. So no muscle, so that's the girth length, is poked, pinched, or no nerve ending, wherever these X's are nerve endings. So this would be your short girth, Western or dressage, or some eventers have that, okay? How long should it be? Easiest, 2 inches below the widest part of the horse's rib cage. In my case, it doesn't work because I'm 6'3". My dressage flaps are really, really, really long because of my long legs. So there, if I have a horse where it's deep enough, I can afford to have a short girth. But if I would ride with a very straight stirrup leather, my leg would never be on most horses. So I ride shoulder, hips, and heels, but with a, I would say, relatively short dressage stirrup leather. Why? Because otherwise my calf is not on the horse.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I still have my shoulder, hips, and heels. So I can ride with a long girth, and the girth would be here. Every jumper,
Mm-hmm.
every girth, what has long girth, short billets, should be not on the pink bar or not there.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so in the girth, we have the length, the position on the horse, and how even or uneven you do it. Now, I took a lot of time to explain it, but I felt this is
That's
important.
very important because, yeah, honestly, like I would say the vast majority of people I know, even if they've been riding for decades, don't know that.
Yeah.
They don't consider girth fit in the same way, and they kind of just wing it. Yeah,
You
most
know,
people use the first and the third billet just for every horse on both
so
sides.
one day when the pandemic left a little bit and it's not so difficult to fly and to be with other people. I love to spend a day with you and show you some very cool little things.
Oh, that'd be
And
amazing.
what you can then show to your students and can apply in your day-to-day work, because you're riding a lot of horses.
Yeah.
Now, when we think about why do I need to know all the tricks? Because every single one of these people here, every single one of these people who work as experts around the horse, if you're a nutritionist, if you're a veterinarian, body worker, trainer, whatever, we all contribute to the hopefully good part of changing the horse's back. But they will always change. So if I, as a trainer or as a pleasure rider, have equipment what I don't want to constantly refit or stuff or constantly buy new saddles, I need to know, A, where does it change and what can I do with saddle pads? Maybe we can talk about next time a little bit about options with saddle pads, if you like.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And what can I do with girth? Today was mainly girth. And you asked me also about the school, the Saddlefit for Life school. The Saddlefit for Life school goes into it, and that's kind of what we do tomorrow. I'm sorry, Saturday, where we have expert of all fields, how to explain how Saddlefit is, unfortunately, super, super difficult to maintain because the constant changes on the three-dimensional shape on the horse. All I want as a rider, I want to ride my horse, and I don't want to stink and saddle what hits any nerves or makes my life miserable. It's already hard. The cost is so expensive to keep a horse. The joy is so huge, but all these little roads, there are stones on the road. It's annoying. So if I know where all the problems are, that's what Saddlefit for Life tries to do. So we always throw this out. You ask me about, let me see if I can enlarge this a little bit. People always ask me about, hey, what is the Saddlefit for Life stuff? First of all, there's our website. You know, I'm so thrilled to say this has nothing to do with the company Schlese, because I wanted to say, if I can't help everybody, okay, we're working on saddles not made out of leather, because there's a lot of people who would never ride leather saddles, like they would never wear leather shoes. Like they're asking us all the time, oh, do you have vegan saddles? Or do you have saddles out of cloth? No, so all this is available now. So the price range is really not an issue anymore for our saddles. But what is a problem is sometimes availability. So people ask me, can you not teach other saddle fitters or riders? Because I want to increase my knowledge and skills as a trainer, as a vet. So Shelby, think about it. When you're a vet, you go out there and you already spend all the time on the road, and then you leave again, and everything you did, even if it's a body worker or a trainer, it gets undone because the saddle doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So imagine you can school somebody on saddle fitting. They would be so thankful. They would say, oh my God, Shelby, I learned so much from you. And that's for them a value. So A, for your own horses, but B, you're helping your students or clients. Sales and income, if you're a professional who have a job, who is it training horses? Is it fixing horses, helping horses? You're losing your time when you go from barn to barn or from horse to horse. So if you can improve the well-being of the horses, that's worth money to somebody. So why would you not charge for your knowledge? Everything you learned from day one and you share on your YouTube channel and on your Instagram and like on social media, why should you not benefit from that? Right? Because you're helping thousands and thousands of horses. And of course, reputation and profit. And you can't be profitable if you're wasting your time on doing stuff, what has to be done, going from A to B, I get it. But if you just run around like a chicken without the head, you never have any profit. You know, the best saying is, sometimes people say, yeah, you know, I don't have time to take this course. It's exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing when you say to a farmer, it says, why why don't you have so much time to spend more time with your family? And they say, or plowing the field. It says, because all day I trying to catch the chicken and the animal what runs around. And then he says, why don't you build a fence? I don't have time to build a fence because I'm catching horses or chickens all the time. So my point is, imagine he makes the time to build a fence so he doesn't have to run after his animals. You understand? If you make time to learn this, you can do it online now. It used to be only you have to fly across the continent, you have to come all the way to Canada or to Germany. Now it's online.
That's awesome.
And then the reason why I would like to come to you is very egoistic, because I can not only help your knowledge and skill, but imagine you say, I really want to learn this, and you become a trainer for Saddlefit for Life.
Oh, I would love that.
All the people around Vancouver come to you and they learn the hands-on, the theory part online, but the hands-on, they learn from a local trainer who is dedicated like yourself, teaching people and helping hundreds and hundreds of horses, right? So we would supply you not only with all the tools you need, but keep you up to date. You know, I know you didn't ask me for it.
Oh no, that would be super interesting because it all plays into like the welfare knowledge too. Like I'm assuming just because even in this discussion here, everything that you said about like the muscles of the horse, it extends far past just saddle fit
That's
for
right.
people. So it would just help with everything by the sounds of it.
See, Sherry, what I like is about we're growing so big with Saddlefit for Life because there is not a day go by when I teach, when I talk to one or the other vet or trainer, and I says, darn it, I haven't even thought about that, you know? And yes, there should be a way that the customer can fit their own saddle better, like the way it used to be, you know? So, I mean, come on, we have material you can throw a heavy bowling ball on it, and it's very thin, and the glass underneath will never break. So why can we not incorporate that kind of stuff in a saddle when you have jumpers? I mean, when they land, the impact is tremendously in the saddle. You know, or another way, you know, so there's a lot of people who say, why can't I have a saddle where the tree point goes backwards? Like you see the metal goes back and not forward. You know, and why don't we cut this out? Then these saddles would have a long pommel. You know, unless you want to sit on the horse's loin, why would you ever have a saddle with a big cutback? That's 5 inches. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's insane.
Right? And then people ask me all the time, what's this? Why do my horse have this? And why does my horse is, oh, that's typical thoroughbred. Oh, that's typical hunter's bump. No.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, you hate that too, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's a thoroughbred. That's why he looks like that. I'm like, no, he's skinny and he doesn't have muscle. So
that's right. The generalization
yeah.
really doesn't help people who love their horses so much. And that's why we do dedicate and says, you know what? We can only help so many people with their saddles for Schlesser, but man, we can help everybody who wants to listen and learn for their own horse. And even people who ride Western or bareback or just have horses or groom horses, because who better than professors to learn from, you know? And over my last 42 years, I met so many cool people, and there's so many cool toys. This is something what was like 900 euros, very expensive.
Oh, wow.
And now the newest one, I think you get for 190 euros. It's just a sleeve. You can slide on every girth.
Oh,
The app is
cool.
for free. Now you could ride every horse you train on the racetrack and totally see how his heartbeat is.
That is so cool.
So why can we not make these tools available for everybody?
Yeah.
And then we say, if we learn from our masters or from our ancestors when they carried horse with heavy guys with metal reinforced like the knight in shining armor. Okay, so in order to decrease the pressure, look how wide the trees are. And today's trees suck. And that's why when we combine new material like credit card thin materials, what is stronger than steel, and combine these two into one. I think I showed you that before.
Yeah,
right?
it's really cool.
But this here, and we built this on all the saddles, even on racetrack. This stuff is so soft, right?
That's
And
insane.
the new one, what we built, right? You literally sit that close to the horse. So a lot of dressage horse riders, you can have this solid or with webbing, but you can have that super narrow through here. But the coolest of all, it's just been patented. Every saddle in the world has the metal plate, which is the stirrup bar, attached to the metal plate of the saddle. Every saddle. I don't care if you pay $100 or $10,000 or $15,000. That's the way saddles always have been designed. Okay. So now imagine this: the rider gets his stirrup leather, okay, and puts the stirrup leather on here, and now you do your rising trot or your 2-point or your canter. All the weight.
Yeah.
It is on the front, right? So if I have a saddle, it's built like this, where all the metal is here, all the metal is there since thousands of years. Of course, you see horses with massive skin problem, the wrinkles or the inflammation or the white hair, atrophy, dry spots, always under the stirrup bar. So what if we added to this new binate line a complete new stirrup bar? And we just patented. So let me get it.
That's super cool.
I have to find it first.
Yeah.
Here we go. I could have picked every saddle, but this one has no stirrup bar. So here's your typical stirrup bar. Okay, and then there's this metal plate. It gets riveted here and here. Every saddle in the world has it. The other problem, if you have that stirrup bar, sometimes you can't adjust your stirrup leather because it's so tight. And you pull in it and those webbings get all ripped.
Yeah.
Okay? So sometimes it's so tight, so it digs into the horse's back, like I showed you the pictures. Sometimes it is so far away that it digs into the rider's thigh.
Yeah, I've had that
and you
too.
hate that.
Yeah.
So what if this is called a center balance stirrup bar? Have you ever seen jumper riders or dressage rider ride in the saddle while your rider does this, or over the jump?
Oh yeah.
Because all the weight is in the front and pulls it down. Where's the horse always getting kissing spine? Here and in the back.
Yeah.
Hardly ever here. What if we attach the stirrup bar here?
It would pull it more evenly in the middle.
That's right.
And,
but yeah. I need the support here because you need the stirrup leather on the ball of the foot. Okay, your ball of the foot is here, like a foot length, right? Are you following me?
Yeah, I'm following this. I'm curious.
Well, here we go. That's it.
Cool. So yeah, you do it longer then and then attach it.
Longer in the middle and the touch is in the middle.
Cool. So then all the weight's just pulling through the middle part.
And then this is on the hinge.
Oh, and you can move it?
And you can move it. It's very, very easy. It never digs in your thigh.
Cool. And it's flatter.
And it's super flat, and your stirrup leather runs very through to it. So we engineered this. We went to the University of Cologne to do pressure testing. Super, super, super cool. I'm gonna find that for you quick.
Yeah, that'd be neat to see the comparison.
Have that there. Let's see where this direction. Yeah, there's so many cool stuff.
Yeah, like that's interesting. Like all those little things are things that I'm surprised that people hadn't thought of earlier just because of how long things have stayed the same with saddles. That it's cool that they're getting like changed and questioned more now and having it explained because most people I don't think necessarily like look at the stirrup bar and would look at it and be like, oh, it's got to be pulling the saddle weight all down right there.
So unfortunately, it's on my other computer,
No worries.
but oops, I'm going to show it next time. So instead of having the stirrup bar the way it always is, always the pressure, the saddles, you see again, the stirrup bar is there, you know, in order to decrease the pressure in the front. It costs a lot of money, let me tell you that. But if I wouldn't have all the patents, that's where we can pull from, because we don't necessarily need just saddle sales to have the money, but through our patents would be sold and sell, right? We can change this so the horse's back can be lifted up from the center,
Yeah.
and then the stirrup bar doesn't pull it down in the front again. And again, can you imagine, how much nicer if there is no stirrup bar digging where the muscle is bigger, and the contact is where the rider is.
That's
So
insane. Yeah.
this is going to blow the market away. And then the last one I'm going to show you is, because it's already 5 to 4, is there's companies who have interchangeable gullet plates, right? So like Wintec and stuff like this. And many, many companies said, okay, there's horses what have, I have to turn this off because my video is still working. There you go. There's horses what have one side bigger. So you could actually take this side out.
Oh, cool.
Right? And then you see how the gullet plate is interrupted there. Okay. And then you can open that side and close that side. But what bothered me, you can never make the tree width difference. So what would you say if there is a system what works on the tiniest saddle without exchanging, just with an Allen key, where you open it with an Allen key. So you just open one part on the front, you open this, and now you can make that tree as wide as you want, as narrow as you want. And then if you have a horse what is super lopsided, you can have that side open or atrophied here.
Cool.
So I will train you on these saddles, because all you need to fit your saddle is this thing.
Yeah, and that's a game changer. Holy.
And because you don't have a saddle anymore with a metal plate. Now, we're working on this for over 3 years, but we just got our patent pending approved. And once the patent is through, then we can go in production. But how else can you help these horses if you cannot teach the trainers, the professionals such as yourself, to understand, I need to do something now. I have my biggest event coming up and I need to do an adjustment. So it all starts with, we start with this, let the people have the basic understanding, and then the actual saddle adjustment, what saddle pad I pick, how to adjust my saddle pad, how I adjust my gullet plate, or my stirrup bar, or my billets. That's all you need to know. But you got to understand the factors, the game changes come from any of those 8. And that's what people learn. And it's so cool because you not need to go to 8 years to university to become a doctor or veterinarian. It's just specific, geared towards Saddlefit. And that's why the academy is called saddlefitforlifeacademy.com. So I hope that was interesting for you.
Oh, absolutely.
The icing of the cake. Wait until I talk to you next time about the racing saddle or the saddle pads, because this is just as cool. People say to me, oh man, I want that stirrup on my saddle now. I mean, there's many, many people who have never do it. You know, they have good saddles and they don't need to do it. But you know, and all your listeners know, once in a while, you come to your soulmate, your two-legged one or your four-legged one. And once you have find that soulmate, and I'm talking now about the four-legged one, the horse of your life, we all do whatever we can do to protect him to be with us forever. And that's what Saddlefit for Life and Schleese is all about.
Yeah, that's really important. And then it would also it's a game changer for like soundness and then also equine welfare across the board because there's a lot of really stressed horses at the upper levels that especially in the show jumping ring. That's where I see them the most because that's where I am the most. But a lot of really stressed horses that would probably be easier to ride and significantly less stressed if they were just more comfortable. And
Well, like as I said, on the racetrack, people are really suspicious. They look at the time, how fast was he this time? And they look at the heartbeat, and if you can prove to them, not only is the heartbeat lower, but the stride is bigger, right? That's what the Girth has showed you.
Yeah, I think
So,
proving that it makes a difference is important to people.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, Saddlefit it's not opinion, it's scientific facts. We got to respect nature, and we can't keep being so dissonance and that cognitive dissonance down here. What that means is, internal, my horse is hurting, really hurting, but I can't afford it, or it's going to be okay. So I'm trying to convince my brain that my horse is not not in pain, and it's not hurting. So that's cognitive dissonance. I'm trying to convince myself it's all okay, but deep down, it's not. And more padding, we're going to talk about this next time. How padding can be really, really helpful with saddle pads and really, really bad. So
Yeah.
hopefully that
That's
we
really
cover.
good for a lot of people because I think that's what most trainers suggest when the saddle doesn't fit is
And you know what? They have the right idea,
yeah.
but sometimes they do it worse than good.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
what we want to avoid.
No, that's all such good information for everyone to have and then help make some changes to better their horses.
So we're going to try to answer some of your folks' questions. I do have a live stream at 5 again
Perfect.
as a general, where we inform people. Today we will cover what's the best way to stop the cantle movement. Sometimes you ride a horse and the cantle goes back and forth and left and right and up and down. That was a question people had. And I want to know about the anatomical girth. What's the advantage on that? And why does the saddle fit only for a couple of days and the saddle fit is not good again? So general questions which we collect. So any of your viewers want to join us, please do so on our channel. Other than that, I'm looking forward to do the next one with you again.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to learning more. This is a lot of very fascinating stuff, and sure lots of people agree. I'll also share about the live today on my Instagram story so people can come to it and ask questions and whatnot and listen.
Super.
Yeah.
Super. Hey,
Yeah,
this
thank
was
you
fun.
so much. Yeah, thank you for doing these with me. It's really educational.
Well, I feel like connected because you still do that with young racing horses, but that's me in my youth again. And I know what a struggle it is. And like you were saying, oh my God, that saddle slipped back. The catch rod had to come and get you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you put me back to my childhood days.
Yeah.
And
Keeps you alive.
I know, but you don't need all the struggles. So I'm
No.
so happy that I can help you.
Yeah, no, that'll be really awesome. Thank you again for this. And then, yeah, next week we'll have another one I think we have on Thursday for the
Yes.
live. And then, yeah, so people can
Cool.
tune in next week. And then also for anyone who has questions, the question and answer live is at 5 Eastern Standard Time. So in an hour. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you so
Stephanie.
much for joining me. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.